Tangerine. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about what it is that we're going to kind of make progress on today, and we'll also talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing next class. So for progress number 3, we're going to focus on kind of continuing to refine a couple of our interior and exterior details of the house. Okay,
this is number 4 progress. So last time was a number 3, right?
I don't think so. Maybe you're right.
It should be number 3 last time.
Villa Savoye, yeah, so technically, yes, this is 4. Okay, I'll change the title here in a little bit. I should just continue just to call it progress. But what we're going to focus on today is we're going to focus on continuing to add more details to both the interior and the exterior. Right now, you guys should have something that looks like this, okay? So for the most part, we have all of the exterior building shell done. You should have all of your interior partitions complete as well, along with things like doors and other objects that kind of help define the interior and the exterior spaces. Last class we modeled the interior circulation, okay, or all the interior vertical circulation. So we defined, well, it looks like I'm missing one. Oh, never mind, it's there. We created these walls, we created the ramping systems, and we also created the stairs that go up to our rooftop, okay? So that's about where we are up to this point. But other than that, we don't really have any other interior details, okay? So what we're going to be working on today is I'm going to show you guys how to model that intricate stair system that we started creating last class. Last class we created the stairs, but let's go to Google real quick and let's take a look at what we're going to be modeling. Let's see, so Villa Savoye stairs. Okay, so this is what we're gonna learn to model today. Is we're gonna learn to model this very intricate stair. Can anyone take a guess or take a stab at how we might do this? Any guesses?
Void form.
So it will be a massing. We will not use void forms. Close. Any other guesses?
Pick the lines from the stairs and bump it up.
Partially, yes. We're on the right track. It's kind of hard to actually verbally say how we're going to do this, but essentially, yes. We're going to create a massing, and we're going to basically make. It is kind of hard to say verbally how it is that we're going to do that, but we'll go ahead and start it here in just a second. But yes, it does revolve around using the massing tool and manipulating a mass, and to which we will do a wall by face. Okay, we'll end up doing a wall by face for this kind of intricate object, or this intricate spiraling wall that we can see here. Okay, so we're going to work on that, and we are also going to start defining floor details and floor patterns to our interior spaces. Okay, so you can reference the PDFs that were uploaded at the beginning of or 2 or 3 weeks ago to see what those different floor patterns might be. You can also reference photographs of the interior of the house. There's probably not much more than maybe 2 or 3 floor patterns for the house. I think there's tile in like the living room, maybe like a 12-inch grid tile. There might be something a little bit different inside the kitchen and the bathrooms as well, but for the most part, that's about it, okay? So you'll need to start to create your surface grid patterns for your flooring, for your floor plans. That'll be a part of today's process, along with starting to place down some of the details like cabinetry and bathroom fixtures that will kind of help define what those spaces are, okay? Right now, let's look at mine real quick. Right now, we probably have something that looks kind of like this, okay? You can see I'm already showing one of those floor patterns, but for the most part, I don't have any of my spaces. Look, if you were to hand this to someone, nobody would really know what is what, okay? We don't really know where the bathroom is. We don't know where the kitchen is. So some of those items are a little undefined at this moment. So we're going to make the spiraling staircase today. We're going to start to define what some of these floor patterns might be for all of our rooms. And we're also going to start to place down items like cabinetry, kitchen details, and whatnot. Next class, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask everyone to pick some room inside the villa that you want to kind of that you want to detail out. Okay, a lot of people end up doing that bathroom. Okay, so look at some photos and think of a space inside the villa that you want to detail. Okay, and then the end product of that will be that you have probably a little blow up of that area on your final, along with like a perspective. You'll notice in one of the submissions that we currently have uploaded that somebody modeled one of the bathrooms, okay? And a lot further than just going through and saying, I like that sink, I like that cabinet, and there's a toilet, and it's modeled, like we did for the residence, basically. But if you Google Villa Savoye bathroom, we've looked at this in the past. Last class, the person that uploaded their final project as the example, they modeled this. Okay, so they took the time to kind of create the bathtub. They made the curved surface. This blue tile is actually a material in Revit, believe it or not. You'll notice that Revit has a lot of Corbusier. I'm trying to think of what that adjective, I guess that adjective would be. But anyways, there's a lot of Corbusier related objects inside Revit. A lot of the furniture is Corbusier furniture. But there's a lot of those materials, and this blue tile is actually already in the software. Okay, but you can also create your own. You can download them and create your own material maps. But the point is, you'll need to pick a space inside the villa to model, and then to which you will create a perspective of to kind of showcase that space. So that will be last class. Today the kind of goal is to kind of finish the floor plans, make them, you don't have to detail them out too much, but start to define the floor hatch patterns, define where the bedrooms are by placing some fairly simple bedroom furniture, the other bathrooms, etc. Okay, and the next class we'll spend the time detailing one space in the house. I'll let you guys determine what that is. It might be this bathroom. This probably about half the students usually pick this bathroom. You might also choose to model maybe the living room, or if you want to kind of model the kitchen. Up to you. So feel free to spend a few minutes going on Google and determining what that space might be, and we'll talk a little bit more about it next class. Okay, so let's move on to the objects that we're going to focus on today. Let's first start by talking about the flooring. Okay, so right now, let me delete this one right here. The first thing that I did was I actually defined floors for I defined one floor that took up the entire space. So there's a couple ways that you can start to define the different flooring patterns for your rooms, okay? So if you click on this floor right here, okay, let's see, let me select it. You'll notice that this right here is just a generic 8-inch floor. So this floor that you're seeing is representing just basically the structure, okay? And one way that you could do this is you could kind of create a floor system for every single room, but that starts to become a little tedious, okay? So the way that I like to do this, and some people actually do this in kind of a professional industry as well, is they'll do one generic floor for the entire space, and they'll actually create separate flooring families for the individual space, okay? Which, if I go back to my floor plan, you'll see that that's actually what I did here, okay? And this was from last semester, but essentially I created a new flooring type, okay? And if we go to edit type, I called this 12-inch tile. And if you go look at photographs, you can actually create a material that actually represents the tile that's inside that house. I think it's kind of a taupish, pinky, it's really an ugly tile, but and if you want to kind of modernize it a little bit, completely up to you, that's fine. I'm not looking for you guys to try to make this a photo perfect match of the villa, but the point is to kind of get as close, fairly similar. All right, but you can see what I did here is we already have the kind of the substructure of the flooring. We're just going to add the flooring on top. And if you think of kind of how flooring is created in real life, that's really how they do it. You know, they're going to they're going to create all the structure, they'll put the plywood on top, and then they'll add the materials for that particular room. So essentially that's what we're doing, okay? So you can see here that I've created a 12-inch tile, and if we go to edit structure, you can see that this particular floor level is only 1/4 inches, okay? 1/4 inches, so that when you place it or when you create it, you're creating it just in the space that you want, okay?
On top of the other
On
one.
top of the other one. So keep in mind that when you do this, you do want the top of your material to be at the top of whatever that level is. So if that level is at 10 feet and you add a 1/4 inch piece of tile on the top of it, technically the finished floor height is actually 1/4 inch higher than what you want. So getting down to that nitty-gritty for this project doesn't matter to me, but in real life you probably need to pay attention to that. So what you would do is you would take that overall floor structure that you created and actually make the offset negative 1/4 inch or negative whatever thickness that flooring is, so that when you add the flooring on top, you're still at that proper finished floor height that you're looking for. You like that? I didn't even mean to do that. That was kind of it was a flooring pun. That was the highlight of my day. Yeah.
But what if one we create the all flooring, just do 8-inch concrete and then one layer of plywood.
Sure.
And then later on, each room we add like.
Sure, exactly.
Specific.
Yeah, how you do that is up to you. I don't really care about adding all the plywood and all of that stuff. The point is that you can selectively choose what materials go into all of the rooms without creating an 8-inch floor structure and trying to have this all of these kind of intricate jigsaw puzzle of flooring. This is a little bit easier of a process, but you can see that basically you're just going to go to edit type. You might make 3 or 4 different types of flooring, or however many you need to define what, or to show what it is that you're trying to show. Okay, but if you go to flooring structure, I created a material called living room tile. Let's just see what that looks like. So I have this kind of taupish travertine tile that we created here. Remember that you can click on the pattern and you can actually, so this is actually not scaled properly for 1-inch flooring, so I could go down to my scale. I'm going to change this to 4 feet. Okay, 4 feet. We're going to click on done, and so now I know that when I actually render that the scale of the material inside the view is now correct. But I also, if you go to graphics, we also have a surface pattern. A surface pattern is what you're going to see when you're looking at the floor plan in hidden line view, okay? Remember not to put floor plans on your sheets that are in realistic. I know a couple people have done that in the past, and it just, not that it is necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a little hard to view. It's just too many colors for a floor plan, and it just becomes a little hard to read. So I like to leave my floor plans and sections to black and white, and elevations could be in color and have shadows and the whole 9 yards. Okay, so you guys can go and create your different materials. You'll notice here that my surface pattern is a 12-inch tile. Okay, so by default there should be one already in Revit called 12-inch tile, but you could go over and create your own custom pattern if you wanted to. So you could click on new, you could click on whether or not it involves parallel lines. So if you're doing like wood flooring, you could use parallel lines. You could add an angle to them if you wanted to, or you could say 0 if you want them to be horizontal. If you want vertical lines, you could change that to 90 and you have a vertical pattern. You can kind of get the gist of it. Okay, you can see that you can also define the line spacing. If you click on crosshatch, that will allow you to define what the second spacing is. Okay, so you could create a grid for whatever size tile you want, whether it's the little 2 or 3 inch tiles that we have in the bathroom, or you have maybe you have big 24-inch tiles in the living room. Up to you. All right, so that's how you can create a little bit more specific materials if they're not already inside Revit. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how to create those materials. I think you guys all know how to do this by now. All right, I'll just do it just one more time real quickly. So if you go to floor, architectural, I'm going to leave the height offset as at 0 because my actual floor structure is a 1/4 inch below. Okay, I'm going to click on that 12-inch tile, and let's just say, I don't know if this is accurate per the actual plans, but let's just say I wanted to add, you know, tile. I think this right here is that a bedroom?
That is a bedroom.
I think it's a bedroom, but let's say you want to add the tile inside the bedroom. You can then define that space like so.
It's one odd-shaped bedroom.
I know it. I think it's a bedroom. I could be wrong. Sounds like we have a
I
few.
think it's a master bedroom.
It's a what? Ah, I see.
It's a master bedroom.
So we'll just pretend, I don't know if this is the right flooring pattern for this room, but we'll pretend that it is, okay? And as soon as you define your boundary, you can then hit the check mark. I'm going to hit no. I don't want them to actually go to that flooring. I would rather my walls actually go to the bottom of the floor below the one that we just created, okay? So you can see now that by adding these different flooring patterns, that starts to give some character to your floor plan, and it starts to define the rooms based off of, you know, whatever it is that they are. Okay, so any questions about about creating the floors? We're good? Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. All right, so let's move on to the next step, which is going to be to create this curved wall. This will be a little bit of a challenge for you know, even myself. This is a tricky wall to create, but let's go ahead and look at how we might do that. Let me pull up a photograph again real quick so we can see that. Okay, so I think this first portion is on the entry level. Let's see, that's the entry level. Wow, there's actually, now that I'm looking at this, I'm seeing stairs that probably go down to a basement.
Basement looks like.
Which is really, I actually did not know there was a basement. Everyone here needs to add a basement to the villa.
It's not open to
Just
public.
kidding. But let's go ahead and look at how we might build this, okay?
So this is the garage level. This one.
That's the garage level?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the garage because I think this is that's the curved glass wall that's on the exterior.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's look at how we might do that. All right, this first wall is relatively easy. That's just going to be your basic. That would just be a wall at a, you know, probably 2.5 foot height with you know, with a pipe railing that surrounds it. I think you guys can create that yourself. What we're going to focus on is we're going to focus on this spiral that kind of goes up to the top. Okay, depending on how much time I may do the other portion as well. So let's go to our ground level. And let's begin to create this, all right? In 3D, I'm going to turn on my section box so that we can see this just a little bit better. Or see the inside of our space a little bit better. Actually, other way. Oh, come on, Revit. Come on. Oh. Are you still cutting off the columns? No. What did I just do? I think I just somehow pulled out my wall. Okay. That's what I want. So let's spin this around. Let's get a better look at my stair. Okay, this looks good. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and delete this wall. All right. Actually, technically, let's take this wall. Let's just make it a quick little half-height wall. So we're going to make, or let's see, where does it go up to? Looks like it goes all the way up to the roof. Oh, I'm selecting multiple things here.
No, you selected the shaft.
Oh, I did select the shaft. You're right. Okay, so I got all of my walls. Let's go ahead And I think currently I'm attached. I'm going to go to detach from base. Oh, maybe I'm not. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these walls down, and I'm going to go ahead and make them maybe 2.5 feet tall or 2 feet tall. Okay, so I selected the wall, and I'm going to make the base constraint ground. I'm going to make the top constraint also ground, but I'm going to go ahead and just give it 2 feet. Okay, so that gives us kind of the base portion of our wall. So let's look at now how to create the curved portion. I'm going to just hide these walls just for temporary, just so that they don't confuse me. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my ground floor plan, and I'm going to go over to, let's see, massing and site, and then I'm going to do an in-place mass, and I'm going to call this staircase curved wall.
Are you recording, man?
I am recording this, yes, so you guys can view this afterwards if you need a little extra help. All right, so what I'm going to do, in the past we have used masses to basically get three-dimensional objects, okay? We're going to essentially kind of do the same thing, but we're not going to make a 3D object. We're actually going to mass a plane, okay, to which we will do a wall by face on. So I'm going to use my pick line tool, and I'm going to pick the outer perimeter of my staircase, okay? And now I can select that line, okay? We have not enclosed it. If I was to have also picked this line over here on the left-hand side, that would actually give us our typical 3D shape that we've created in the past. I'm not going to connect that, but instead I'm going to leave it open, but we are going to go over and click on Create Form, Solid Form again. But if we go look at this in 3D, we don't have an actual 3D shape. We actually have a 3D plane, okay? So from there, let's go back and look at this, what this looks like, and let's try to get a good idea of how we would manipulate this, okay? Let's look at maybe this one, okay? So I'm gonna kind of eyeball this at first, but I'm going to say that I'm gonna start with this point over here. I'm gonna bring it down to, we'll say, about 2 feet. So you could actually get rid of the original walls that we had at a 2 foot height, and you could probably do this all in one fell swoop, but let's go ahead and we'll say that's at about 2 feet right there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and make this one a little bit lower. I'm then going to come over to this side. Might have to kind of change my section box around. You can still select it though. I'm now going to grab this dot and I'm going to move it up. Okay, I'm going to grab this dot. I'm going to move this up all the way up to the top. Maybe it's about right there. Notice that it's snapping. It's snapping to that floor edge. Okay, so maybe it's something about like that. Now I can grab this one. I'm going to bring it up. Okay, so we're kind of eyeballing, eyeballing this a little bit to get that curved surface that we're trying to get. So maybe it's something about like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for the points at the bottom of the curved plane. Okay, so I'm going to bring this one up. Okay, now I think this actually goes straight, then it goes back up. Let's see, I'm just going to continue doing it this way, and then I'll go back in a second and kind of refine it a little bit more. You have a question?
I think you are working in different plane instead of doing on the stairs.
You're right.
Push it later?
No, you're right. I totally am. I'm actually going backwards. It's all right. Let me just backtrack a little bit. Yep, I should be doing the spiral the other way up to follow the stair. You're correct. Like I said, it's just one of those days. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll do this again. So I'm going to select this point over here. Let's move it down. Okay, and we're going to move, let's move a couple of these up so we can select this point. Let's move it up. Let's take this point. Let's move it up. And we'll take this one all the way up to the top. And I think this would actually go maybe a couple feet above, because we're going to have a handrail that matches that. Okay. Come on, come here, fella.
It's complicated.
It is a little complicated. Okay, so it's about like that. We're getting closer. So it'll take a little pushing and pulling to get this the way that you want to. Just trying to be able to see that point. There it is. Come on now. And unfortunately, I can't manipulate my section box right now, which I want to be able to select that point. There we go. It's probably a little bit too high. Okay, we'll say that that looks pretty good. So what I'm looking at, though, is I'm looking at the distance basically from the top of my massing that I created and the stringer of the stair. Okay, so my goal is to try to maintain, we'll say maybe about a 2-foot distance. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball this, but my goal is to try to maintain about a 2-foot distance from the top of the mass to the stringer, because eventually we're going to come through and we're going to create the handrail, which will take up about the other foot or so that you have that 3-foot wall that surrounds the stair. Okay. All right, so that looks about right. Okay, maybe this is up just a tiny bit. But he sure likes to get his sleep right in the middle of all the lectures. And then he's gonna say, "How do I do that?" in a few minutes.
So there's a half basement. More like looks like a little wine cellar.
A little wine cellar. I know
It's really small.
Well, I know the Germans and the French occupied the building at one point. Okay, so they're probably drinking a lot of wine during the war. I think that looks pretty good. So we have about a 2-foot wall going from the top of the stringer. So now I can select these other points here, and I'm going to bring it to, we'll say, maybe the bottom of the stringer. Okay, so we're going to bring this just a little bit lower, and let's pull this up. Okay, so we have, we're pretty darn close. Okay, so we have something about like that. Okay, yeah, we could probably spend a little bit more time kind of perfecting it just a little bit more, but this will give you the idea on how to get that custom shape. Okay, if you need to add edges, you can also add edges and points. If you need an extra point to be able to get an extra kind of an extra flat plane in there at the beginning if you want to. But that's pretty close to about what we're looking for, okay? And then you would do the same thing on the inner side, all right? But let's go ahead and move on. We're going to click on Finish Mass, okay? That's fine. And from here, we're going to go ahead and go over to Architecture, and we're going to go to Wall by Face, all right? So I've already created an interior wall, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and change my location line to, let's see, what do I want here? I think core face interior. All right, let me see. Or core face exterior. Yep, that's what we want right there. I wanted it on the inside. All right, so from here I can select my masses. Okay, and you'll notice now that we have a nice curved spiraling wall. Okay, and it looks pretty close to what we're trying to get. Okay, I'm not looking for perfection on this. I know you could go back and you could probably figure out some things that, oops, what did I click on? That probably aren't quite right, but that will give you the, that's kind of the gist of creating that curved wall. Okay, so let's look at the next step, which is going to be able to create that handrail. Okay, we're going to create the handrail a kind of a custom handrail for this wall, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up to component. We're gonna go to model in place. All right, so we're gonna click on model in place. We're gonna go over to generic models. Hit OK. Hit OK. And we're going to create a, let's see, we're going to create a sweep. All right, so we're gonna click on sweep. And the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna define our path. All right, so the path, what we're gonna select is we're gonna define the plane as the top of the wall. Okay, so I'm gonna go to sketch path, and we're gonna set work plane, pick plane, and I'm going to, let me think about this for a second. I have a feeling that this is there's gonna be a part of this that will not work. Let's see, let's just go with it. So I'm going to select, actually I don't think that's gonna work. I did this last semester. We're gonna select this plane. I don't think that's gonna work, because that's gonna be that plane. That's not gonna be able to.
You can't join them to create a new plane?
No, I don't know. You don't think so? Sorry, I just ran into a mental block here on how to create that piece. Let me think about this. I'll stop. Let me stop it for there. I need to try something here real quick before I show you. Why don't you guys go ahead and get started here just for the time being? Give me just a couple minutes, and I will come back and I will show you how to do the rail that we're going to create. I just don't want you guys to have to waste time by watching me for 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so go ahead and get started. Start creating that wall. Start to add your floors and continue adding detail. Okay, and we'll come back to this here in just a sec.